Paragraph 21, notices. This one right here, y'all put the right information in here. I know, but I don't want the other party to have my client's information. Guess what? They have Facebook, they have Instagram, they have Twitter, they probably have Snapchat too. And if they want to find that person,
and then there's TikTok.
And then there's TikTok, exactly. And if they want to find that person, they're gonna find that person. So, and here's the important thing about that. If you put your information on here,
that's right,
you have now made yourself the responsible party for getting things like the title commitment. And then you would be responsible for making sure that your buyer or your seller gets the copy of the title commitment. So please, please, please put the right information on here. Because if they want to contact your buyer, they want to contact your seller, hate to break it to you, they know where they live. They could just go knock on the door and have a conversation. And it happens all the time.
That's right. And if you want to copy yourself on here, you certainly can.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Highly recommend that you're copied just so that you stay ahead.
Make sure you're not the only one though.
That's right. And just remember that if you have done your due diligence and you have kept up in campaigns and you have made that client a client for life, it doesn't matter what that other agent has.
Correct. Exactly.
So don't be afraid of that. And also remember that if you deliver a termination and a request of earnest money, everyone in this paragraph is who has to be notified.
Correct.
So when you deliver a release of earnest money or deliver a dispute of any kind on the earnest money, you make sure that you and or the title company has sent to everyone listed in notices.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, paragraph 22 of the contract. This one's self-explanatory, y'all. Check the boxes for the correct addendum that apply to the contract. Most common, you're going to see the third-party financing addendum. Oftentimes, you're also going to see the addendum for property subject to mandatory membership in a property owners association. If your seller has to, if your buyer has to sell before they can buy, you may see which form?
Oh, contingent.
There you go. Property can. Let's see, which one is it?
Contingent on the sale of another property.
Yeah, addendum for sale of other property by buyer. That's the one that you would see there. If there's any additional other ones, like if there's a short sale or something like that.
Or the lead-based paint.
Or yes, absolutely, lead-based paint on here. Make sure that you have that one. And then the lead-based paint addendum is actually something that needs to be signed by both the buyer and the seller, and it needs to be started by the seller, correct?
It needs to be started by the seller. So
Yes.
a good listing agent has the seller fill it out at time of listing, and you put it in the MLS under documents.
Correct.
Let me ask you a question. If you execute a contract and you didn't check one of these boxes, but there was one signed, what happens?
Well, it depends on who has the better lawyer.
That's right. So if you don't check a box on here and there is a form like the minerals gas exception, you have to prove whenever it was executed.
Correct.
You have to prove that it was executed at the same time of the contract. And with digital electronic signature, that's a whole lot easier. But if you're still doing wet signatures, then it becomes a little more difficult in courts.
Let's just not get to that point, though. Let's check the appropriate box. Now,
Absolutely.
you keep in mind here, the third-party financing addendum, there's really two places where you check that box. You're going to check it in paragraph 3, and you're going to check it in paragraph 22. And then same thing with the addendum for property owners association.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to check that in the paragraph that's corresponding to that, and you're going to check it here. The only ones that would be on here are like the sale of other property. You're not going to check that anywhere else. A backup contract, you're not going to check that anywhere else. And there's a few other ones on here that you're not going to check anywhere else. So most of these, the ones that you're going to use most commonly, you're already going to check that somewhere else on the contract. This is an additional place for you to check it. Please make sure you do that.
Which is why they're the first two listed.
Exactly.